What is going on, YouTube? It is Blue. We are going to be talking about Owlweaving today. Unfortunately, this is something that definitely should have been brought up in my guide video, and I apologize to you all for that. I think the only reason that it wasn't there is, just my inexperience with Shadowlands content. Um, you know, a lot of you guys know I've been playing Feral Druid forever. But I ended up taking a break. I got tired out of Shadowlands. Playing Feral Druid and Shadowlands, it was exhausting. There were some things that I definitely didn't like in Shadowlands that I foresaw even in the beta before Shadowlands even existed. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't really think I'm going to like this. I didn't like Blood Towns at all. I didn't like the idea that our bite was going to be all of our damage. So I just got really tired of Feral Druid. And then when I go ahead and see Heart of the Wild, I just avoid it. I don't even put any thought into it. I'm just like, nope, don't care. That's not a playstyle I really care about. But somebody brought it up in my comments, and you guys deserve to know. Like, this channel is about, how can you play the best? Talking about figuring out how we can be the best Feral Druids that we can be. Now, I will say two things. Yes, Owlweaving is a thing. Will it be a very common thing that people talk about and they hate about? I think it's going to be less common of a thing. I think probably there's going to be like 1% of Feral Druid players playing it. The reason why that is first of all, you're only going to be doing this in your single target rotation. Why are we never going to be doing this in AoE rotation? Well, Tear Up and Wounds exists, Primal Wrath exists. Basically, in AoE rotation, you're just going from Primal Wrath to Primal Wrath. There's not really any building up of energy, or holding the energy until you can do a massive bite. There's not a lot of downtime other than just waiting on your energy regen to do a spell. So in AoE rotations, we just don't have any downtime to be doing something like that, right? And single target, yes, there is some downtime, but there is a lot less of it. And also, you're going to be juggling a ton of spells. You know, moving into Dragonflight, if you've been raiding forever, I've been raiding Feral for a long time. There's a lot of spells to press. Like I got Feral Frenzy just up here just to press, right? And then I also need to make room for my Heart of the Wild somehow. I mean, if this was on live and I was like a raider, yeah, I could figure it out. I would probably track my Heart of the Wild, and I'd probably just macro it into one of these spells. Um, but there's just a lot of things to already juggle, all right? And then you're probably only going to net a return of maybe like 3%. It's pretty minimal. But let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers to talk about why it's good to do. So we got in Moon Conform here, we got Moonfire doing 2k, 12 ticks, Sunfire 2k, 12 ticks, so they're basically the same, right? And then we got our Star Surge hitting for 18k, 18.5k. It's kind of, Star Surge it's not, I mean, it's good. It's not bad. The thing about Feral that Feral lacks is Feral is very much a bleed play style, and any heavy hitting abilities that are supposed to be like just, hey, I don't have any bleeds to do, so I'm just going to do a heavy hitting ability, an upfront damage ability. So that's like Shred, Swipe, or Bite. Bite does good damage, but all the rest, like our Shreds and Swipes, they're hitting for wet noodles, right? So if you just kind of consider this and be like, oh, this is kind of like a Shred, except it does a good chunk of damage, then it's like, oh, this is pretty good, right? Now the thing to think about though is, since we are going single target, our Feral Cat already has Moonfire, and you're going to see here our Feral Cat Moonfire is already greater than the normal Boomkin Moonfire, right? So although you can empower this with Heart of the Wild for a portion of time, it will be empowered Moonfire. I would very much advise against that. The thing is, you don't want to be in Moonfire or Moon Conform, too long. If you're in Moon Conform for too long, you're going to be missing out on specific things. You're probably going to be overcapping on your energy. You might be missing a lot of time on your Omen of Clarity procs. Your bleeds are probably going to fall off, right? I mean, your bleeds are already falling off very quickly. This is a heavy, um, very much heavy bleed rotation. So you really want to minimize the time that you're in Moon Conform. But another thing is, you rely really heavily as a Feral Druid on Moonfire to proc your Blood Talons, right? So if I took away Moonfire in Moonkin form, that will probably force me in cat form to possibly swipe as part of my rotation just to proc Blood Talons. And it's like, yeah, it may be decent. There looks like there's a decent amount of return on this, this Moonfire because it's empowered. But I would still advise against it. You don't really want to be swiping on single target. You don't want to be in Moonkin form for too long. So, yeah, my advice, do not Moonfire at all. Okay? But we do have Sunfire. Sunfire is actually a positive return right here because we could just move it over here and just gain that Sunfire. Whereas the Moonfire is just like a positive or negative effect. But we're just benefiting 100% from Sunfire. Star Surge is like a shred but better. So this is a pretty big positive net over here. So yeah, Moonkin form is better even in normal Moonkin form. And then if you empower it, yeah, even better. The thing is, you're going to find difficult times to use your Moonkin form. So it's going to be a lot less people that are going to be able to pull it off correctly without losing damage, right? We don't want our bleeds to fall off. Oh, and another thing to look at here is look at Sunfire's damage versus Thrash's damage. So Sunfire is doing a lot more damage than Thrash. So if you are in your rotation and it gets to the point where you can possibly justify going into Moonkin form to Sunfire, even though your Thrash is falling off, because it does more damage. So if you are doing it, that's a scenario that you can create just with this profile of damage. So let's go ahead and try it out, so you guys can kind of see. Oh gosh, hopefully I do okay. I think we this. Obviously I'm not practiced up on it, but I'm in my Berserk window, so I don't really have time to kind of go out of Berserk. Alright. Probably want to empower that. So that seems justifiable, because the only thing I've missed out on... Oh, that was not great. Yeah, it's a lot to upkeep, obviously more than before. So I could probably justify doing this. Ooh, I'm overcapped on my energy, but it's probably a bad idea. And my Tiger's Shear. My Feral Frenzy's up. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did a so much better job when I wasn't worrying about like my cooldowns. See, I could do it now. Okay, cool, and I didn't miss out on anything there. Great. I don't think that one was too bad. Nope. Feral Frenzy's basically up. Put all my stuff up before I... and see, yeah, I already got Berserk up again. It's a lot, right? The windows in which you're going to be do it are very, very small. So we're looking at 2.3, 1.9. We're looking at maybe like 5% right here. But that is if I did my rotations well. There might have been times that I was in Moonkin form that I shouldn't have been. So basically this video, I don't think you guys want to hear it. I wouldn't say it's 5%. There's probably times I shouldn't have been in that window. You just gotta think to optimize it. And I probably should have just been doing it less. often to optimize it. But I was also doing terrible rotation, right? So that 5% would have been a lot lower if I was doing my rotation well. I do not practice on my single target rotation at all. It's already, to me, a lot to upkeep. I think to anybody, there's going to be a lot to upkeep. There's a lot of buttons to look after and press that you're not normally used to as a Feral Druid. Everything is just like off global cooldowns, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool. You press this, press that as part of my rotation. But now you have a ton. You have Adaptive Swarm, Feral Frenzy, Convoke, Tiger's Fury, Berserk. These are all things that you have to be mindful of and keeping track of, like, very consistently. Maybe even for me, Berserking as well. That's also another cooldown you want to be tracking, keeping, you know. And then to think of like, oh damn, when I can't press any of these, and my energy's low, and my bleeds are low, go into Moon Conform. And it's like, oh, that's that's too much for me to justify, you know, that percentage, that 5%, because to me, if I took that 5% out and I just played what I have better and I'm just paying more attention to what I have more, I'd probably just net, you know, more than 5%. So that's the video for those 1%ers that think you can pull it off really good. I think so. You guys can do it. I'm not even looking. Look right here. I got a trinket to press. I got a potion to press. There's a lot of stuff, man. There's a lot that for me it's too much, right? I didn't even add those. If I added those two, my mind would have blown up and it would have looked worse rotationally than I did. But that's it, you guys. I do want to add this video. Yes, Owlweaving is a thing. Is it a thing for you? Is it a thing for me? Probably not. It's probably going to be less of a thing talked about because of how ridiculous it is, right? Now, let's see, if I went through this rotation as practicing this, I went through this rotation without pressing any of my cooldowns, and yeah, it's so much better. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. It just makes more sense, right? Now you could just fit it in, but once you start getting all your other like stuff, it just gets way too much. Anyways, that's it. Don't want to make the video too long. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful time. Hopefully you guys kind of get it. Try it out. Maybe this is for you. It's not for me.